Hi, I'm Kat. I play Sims and I decided to renovate an apartment in San Myshuno. I wanted to do a lofted bedroom, but because of where I wanted the bathroom door, I actually ended up bringing that up as well, and it was all a terrible decision. The height of apartment walls can't actually be changed, so everything I put in that bathroom ended up clipping in the ceiling. So gradually, as the video went on, and even when I took the screenshots, I actually dropped the platforms several times until they were much smaller. Even then, when I took my screenshots, things were clipping in the ceiling, so I wasn't very happy about my choices. I decided to make an extra little enclosure for a better front door because the one that was the default wasn't very attractive. I ended up choosing a pale swatch from the movie Hangout kit, which has some surprisingly nice ones as well as the colourful, and I've already dropped that platform once. I went for the patterned businesses and hobbies wallpaper for the bedroom, and I just stuck some columns on there to separate it off a little bit from the rest of the space. I chose pale walls everywhere else just to make it all sort of match, but later on I do make a change to the sitting room to make it a little bit more colourful. I started with the bedroom because that was sort of the focal point of the space. I got this high school years bed that actually had a perfect swatch on it, and I got some sort of matching cabinets for the bedside tables. I put clutter on them from the Comfy Gamer kit and the Sleek bathroom, which are two of my most used kits, and I rearranged it a couple of times because I've got zero spatial awareness and I always have to arrange several times to make them fit on the spaces. I messed around with it a little bit and I changed the swatch on the plant just to make it more neutral, and then I grabbed a full-length mirror which ended up being from Businesses and Hobbies. It was sort of backlit, which was nice, but all the swatches were effectively the same, so I don't know why I bothered changing it. I got a rug from Enchanted by Nature, which worked really nicely with the bed and with the walls, and I just got some bits of artwork from the Cozy Kitsch kit just to make it look sort of more busy. And I found the pride flag, which I love, so I used it in the asexual colour scheme, and I just stuck a tapestry up above the bed, which does end up clipping in the ceiling in my screenshots. Started in on the bathroom, just getting some pale swatches of everything I needed. The entire reason this bathroom ended up as weird as it did was because I wanted the shower bath combo, so I put that in, but that's also clipping in the ceiling. Got the clutter in, just the usual bits and pieces. I got a mirror, but it sits really high on the wall, so I had to use tool mod to lower that one a little bit. Changed my mind a couple of times on the towels. I grabbed a couple of small ones to start with, just hand towels. And then when I got the bath towels, I got this rack that actually had smaller ones on it, so I just moved that over and deleted the original towels I had. And I put up my favourite shelf, which is from the Tiny Living pack. I basically put that in every single bathroom, but that's another item that clips in the ceiling once I'm done. I tried putting a plant on the stairs for decoration, but thanks to the platforms it had some weird lighting on it, and I just got a couple of bits and pieces of clutter by the door to make it a little bit more interesting. Into the main space, I actually separated the kitchen and sitting room into two separate areas using a wall and a column just to make it look a little bit more finished. And once I'd done that, I decided to start with the kitchen. I hummed and hawed a lot over where my appliances went, so I cut quite a lot of footage of me just moving the fridge and the stove over and over and over again. Eventually I got them into a place I was okay with, and I picked out the Dream Home Decorator counters, which are in a nice pale shade to match the rest of the apartment, and the Home Chef Hustle hood, which always hides really well in upper cabinets. I struggled really, really hard with the upper cabinets. I like these ones in this swatch, except I hate the corners. I had trouble getting anything to look right in the lighting on that corner. I ended up with Home Chef Hustle shelves, which became a problem in themselves because the swatch didn't match anything else I wanted to use with them. And I just increased the size of the fridge a tiny bit with tulle to make it fit in the cabinets a little bit better. I struggled with a few different options and eventually landed on this shelf from For Rent, which was not good, but close enough to the swatch to make it work as long as you don't look at it too closely. I finally remembered to add a sink, and then I started looking for some smaller appliances. I had problems with these as well because I didn't know what I wanted to use. I only ended up keeping the mixer and the dishwasher. I really wanted the pizza oven, but it didn't fit in the tiny space at all. It just looked ridiculous wherever I put it, so I ended up having to get rid of that. Grabbed a couple of different bits of clutter, nothing too much because I've discovered even when the Sims have one counter to work with, they still for some reason won't do anything. I have to give them a couple of different counters to choose from, so I left them a good amount of space to cook. I saw something I wanted for the dining room table later, so I sort of put that aside on the floor while I grabbed other things. Once I got irritated enough with the kitchen to be finished with it, I decided to turn my attention to putting a divider in the front, just so that there was a bit of a separation between the front door and the bedroom and the rest of the apartment. It just felt a little bit too open before I'd put that divider down. Once I'd actually put those in place, I realised I hated the stairs, so I grabbed something that looked similar but not quite the same, and I tried to paint the platforms at this point for unknown reasons because they weren't actually visible. I changed the swatch on the plant for no good reason, it didn't help anything, and I decided to put one large window in the sitting room so that it was a little bit more open and I could have my favourite curtains in there as well. I'm reasonably sure those Desert Lux curtains are in every single one of my builds somewhere. I grabbed a modern fireplace and a framed TV that looked nice with the colour scheme, and then another high school years in the form of the sofa. Got a nice fuzzy rug and then bopped around a little bit to decide what I needed to do next before I realised I wanted a bookcase, which I also got from high school years. The only thing that bothered us about this is I couldn't find a swatch that exactly matched the sofa, so instead I just changed the colour of the entire sitting room space and put another column in to separate it off. The next step in that living room was artwork, but I got distracted when I saw the Enchanted by Nature backsplash and ended up going in the kitchen, so I ended up putting a column in there as well just to separate it off because it didn't look quite right with nothing finishing that wall. Instead of going back to what I was doing with the artwork, I decided to get a dining table instead, so I moved things around, grabbed something small from Snowy Escape because it fit the colour scheme, and then realised I couldn't sit anything on top of it because it was too small. I did grab the businesses and hobbies chairs that matched the bedroom wallpaper, and then I eventually did put something on the walls. I decided to use a dresser as a hallway table so it'd be multifunctional, and I desperately wanted to use the giant mirror. I think it was from Decor to the Max, so I had to move around everything on the wall to make that work, but I wasn't going to change it. I also lined up the dividers a little bit better and got some clutter for the top of the dresser just to make it look a bit more interesting. There is two kinds of phones because I liked both of them and I wanted them both there. I am guilty of using the mobile phone clutter and those sunflowers quite a lot, as well as the comfy gamer kit, which I've got on top of there as well. I used these wooden slats from Spa Day as a doormat and just sized it up a little bit with Tool Mod to make it work better. And that's everything, so thank you for watching if you did, and enjoy the screenshots of the apartment at the end.